Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the City of Hammond Board and Public Works meeting of November 30th, 2023. Roll call, please. Here.
Here.
Are there any conflict of interest statements?
No, ma'am.
Approval of the minutes of the meeting of November 9th, 2023 and November 16th, 2023.
I'll recommend that we approve the minutes of both dates.
And I concur. There are no bid openings. Are there matters from any other department heads or their representatives? Number 7, under correspondence, letter A. Correspondence received from William Short, Chief of Police, requesting approval for Officer Ronald Davison to receive ET specialty pay effective November 17, 2023, and approving the termination of Correctional Officer Austin Crocker effective November 19, 2023.
I recommend we approve Chief Short's request.
And I concur. Letter B, correspondence received from Dean Button requesting $87,700 of CIB funding to be allocated for professional services and corresponding agreement with Lockmuller Group submitted for approval.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dean's at a different meeting right now, so I'm stepping in for him. This is the survey for Hessfeld Park upgrades with Lockmuller, with the courts and everything else. So the CIB approved this and so forth, and the money set aside. So I would recommend approval.
I recommend approving the request.
And I will add that this has been signed by the mayor and the city controller, as well as Mr. Button, and I concur. Letter C, correspondence received from Dean Button requesting the approval of change order number 1 in the amount of $19,078 from Blue River Environmental and Restoration for the Robertsdale Lead Remediation Phase 3 project.
So basically, this was some restoration of brickwork that they had to do. It's taken more than just placing the bricks back. So I recommend approval with that.
Thank you.
Let's see. It's just a change order.
Okay.
So.
I recommend approval of the request.
And I concur. Letter D, correspondence received from Milestone Contractors offering an extension on the current pricing for work to be completed in 2024.
So basically, this is an extension of the contract overlay program. So they're holding their prices. It'll be the same prices as the previous year, this year. So they just extended so we don't have to go out for bid. So I recommend approval with that.
I recommend approval of the request.
I concur. Letter E, correspondence received from Reith Rowley Construction requesting the approval of the Holman Avenue Reconstruction Winter 2023 traffic pattern starting December 6, 2023 until March 11, 2024.
So unfortunately, we're not going to have both lanes, north and southbound, open, but we will have southbound lane open. And they're going to continue working weather permits. So I recommend approval.
Okay.
I recommend approval of the request.
And I concur. Number 8, matters from board members.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Number 9, new business. Letter A, funding allocation request requesting $17,965 of the 2nd District Gaming Fund to be allocated for the alley fence project at 1100 block of 150th Street. And this has been signed by the mayor and the city controller.
Yeah, I recommend approval of the request.
I concur. Letter B, orders to rescind and release orders to demolish properties located at 6530 Carolina Street, 54 Detroit, 1116 Moss Avenue, and 19 through 21 Mason Street submitted for approval.
Good morning, Madam President and Board. These are all matters that have been requested by Mr. Luter due to completion of the rehabilitation or self-demolition. So I'd request that these be approved as presented and request that that Linda record these and then make them available to Mr. Luter so that he can get them to the owners.
Yeah, I recommend approval of the request.
And I concur. Letter C, first extension of agreement to rehabilitate the property located at 2314 Indianapolis Boulevard submitted for approval.
Yes, this I believe we discussed at a prior meeting. You should have a signed agreement. We'd request its approval as presented.
I recommend approval of the request.
And I concur. Letter D, acknowledgement of notice to affected owners of property located at 6529 Columbia Avenue.
This is a zoning matter. I believe it's just, we are notified as owners, the city's notified as owners, so no action needed except acknowledgement.
Okay. Letter E, C-Click Fix, request for signage for 1 or 2 lanes on Columbia from 169th to St. John Bosco, and signage on Holman Avenue in Harrison.
Okay, I recommend we send this to engineering for approval.
Okay, and I concur. Letter F, C-Click Fix, requesting no parking signs at the intersection of Johnson and 143rd and addressing the issue of the business trucks parking on the street obstructing the intersection.
Okay, Mr. Correa, I'll recommend we approve to send this to, engineering.
Okay. Letter G, and I concur. Letter G, C-Click Fix, requesting wrong-way signs on the 7,000 block alley between Indianapolis and Magoon Avenue.
Good morning, Councilman.
I don't know if I can just walk up here like this, but the only thing I request on this one, because I've had several resident complaints, can it also include 6900?
I don't know why we can't hear. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
could it also include the wrong way signs? There's been several complaints about cars coming off 169th and going down that alley in the wrong direction. So can it be more than just one sign at the 7,000 block? In other words, down that alley, because a lot of the businesses there, when you go through the parking lots, people tend to go the wrong way.
Okay.
So it's not just one sign. If we could get a few more than that, and include the 6900 block too, please.
So he wants
That's
to
not
add
a
the
problem.
6.
Thank you.
We're going to refer it then.
Yeah,
6.
I recommend we send this to engineering.
Okay, I concur. Letter H, notice of violation hearing for property located at 1315 170th Street.
Mr. Hawkins.
Good morning, Madam President and Board. We're requesting a continuance for this notice of violation hearing to December 28th, 2023. The property owner is not here. They were already notified of my intent to request for the continuance, and I relayed that information to them. That is why they are not present here this morning. So,
Okay. I'll recommend that we set this for status for December 28th.
I concur.
thank you.
Letter I, notice of violation hearing for property located at 4112 Wabash Avenue.
Morning, Board.
Morning.
The property was inspected on October 24, 2023, and during the inspection with myself and Building Inspector Bill Luter, we determined that the second-floor apartment was found to be illegal and non-conforming based on lack of fire separation between the first floor and second floor, and there were no building permit fees found for the creation of the second-floor unit, and the fact the zoning does not meet current requirements as well. The owners are cooperating with the removal, so we ask the Board to affirm the removal order.
From the removal.
Okay.
Okay, I recommend that we approve the removal of the second floor apartment.
And I concur.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, did you want a status date, sir? Or are you going to just monitor it through guys?
No, it's all
Okay,
right.
all right, thank you, sorry.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Is there anything we can do to turn up the volume on this? It's very hard to hear.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Letter J, deed of dedication for portion of property located at 4712 Holman Avenue submitted for approval. Go ahead.
How's that? Any better?
Not really, but go ahead.
All right, I'll speak up. So this is a kind of a right-of-way extension on the corner near, I think it's Hoffman or Chicago Avenue in Holman. I'd request its approval as presented.
I recommend approval of the request.
And I concur. Letter K, right-of-way permits, there are 8 of them received from engineering submitted for approval.
So we have 6, I believe, from NIPSCO for pole replacements, just single poles throughout the city of Hammond. One being a driveway curb cut permit for residential property, and the other one being for Fayette Street, a closure of approximately 3 days so they can erect their, NICD can erect the bridge over. So I would recommend approval.
I recommend that we approve the request of all items.
And I concur. Letter L, request for a no semi sign in the alley between 165th and Jackson Avenue.
I recommend that we send this to engineering for request. Thank you, sir.
Number 10, old business, status for 941 Reese Avenue.
941 Reese is under a rehab agreement that expires tomorrow, the 1st. Mr. Luter's indicated that some interior work has begun. Is that correct, Mr. Luter? Yes. And that he'd request a 90-day extension on this. So I have to get it prepared and signed by the owner. So if we could go out a little more than 90 days, maybe go 100 days out, which would take us to sometime in early March.
21st, all right, Mr. Smith?
Could we go earlier in March?
Oh, 14th or 7th?
Let's go March 7th.
March
Is that
7th? Okay.
Bill, March 7th?
Okay, I'll recommend that we set this for status for March 7th, 2024.
And I concur. Status for 30 Warren.
30 Warren, so we do have, again, another one that we have an expiration of a rehab agreement tomorrow. Mr. Luter's also reported that work is proceeding, although at a slower pace than we would have hoped. And so he has also requested, Bill, 90 days for this. So if we could have that same March 7th date, please.
Okay.
And I will prepare a first extension to the rehab for the board.
Yeah, I recommend that we set 31 to March 7th, 2024 also.
I concur. Letter C, status for 5235 State Line.
I believe Mr. Soto's here. This has been a property that's been up on status a couple times and no one appeared. This is kind of like the final request for appearance. I think Mr. Flores, if I'm not mistaken, might be the owner. Yeah. Anybody here? Is Mr. Soto here? Hi.
Yeah, I'm here to speak on his behalf, just to make it understandable.
Yeah, that's okay. So this is the old Judy's Music Store on State Line. I've gone by there. It seems to be like they're working on it, but the problem is that our rehab agreement has been expired since late 22. We've never had an extension. So theoretically, they're operating in violation of the, they're constructing this in violation of the demolition order. It's not Mr. Soto's fault, of course, but it's the owner's fault, Mr. Flores. So, and I don't, he's not here today, is he?
No,
No.
he's not.
So have you had contact with him?
Hablo con él.
Sí.
Okay, what's he, what,
Que localice supuestamente de la obligación de, porque está en violación del permiso.
I guess he's been paying you guys, has it been
Yeah, I
delayed?
believe it's, the biggest delay has been with our plumber at the moment. We have they have to do a new tap-in, so the new water line hasn't been able to be put in. And the subfloor on the first floor hasn't been ran all the way through just because it's a small crawl space. But there has been a lot of work done for the second floor and the first floor. There's electrical being run, there's HVAC being done, and I believe we're just waiting on the actual plumber to finish the work. And then we will need maybe like 3 more months and we should get everything going forward.
Has Mr. Flores indicated to you what the eventual use is going to be? Can you tell what the use is going to be there?
No sé, no somos.
Commercial, residential?
Comercial.
I believe the first floor is commercial and the second floor is going to be just like living quarters.
So second floor residential, first floor commercial?
Yes.
Okay, and what would you say percentage-wise the property is complete?
Property, ¿como cuánto cree que el porcentaje está hecho en la propiedad?
Pues tenemos premiado ya, todo lo que es premiado.
Is
I
it like
would say
50,
maybe
half done,
Like
two-thirds?
40-45%.
Oh,
just
so it's only
because,
half done still, see?
Because the biggest delay has been, like I said, the
Plumbing.
new tap-in. But once that's all done and everything should move forward. And
Is the tap-in the plumber's responsibility or the city's, or?
it's mutual. I guess it was closed through a court order or something like that.
I did receive a call from the plumber earlier this week. He was fairly new to working in Hammond, and he was unfamiliar with what equipment he was going to need or where his work would go. Put him in touch with somebody at the water department. He will have to install the service from the building to the main, have all the parts needed for the tap, but the water department will come out and tap their own main. So once he has that ready to go, hopefully we can do it before cold sets in. and street department can get that, or water department get that tap completed.
Okay, so I think if that's the case, I mean, do you think that the tap-in can occur over the winter, or are they gonna have to wait till the spring to do that?
They would get that going as fast as they can.
Okay, before the
So,
ground
approximately
freezes?
Before it freezes out, yes.
And are you able to continue work inside?
Yes.
Okay. I think what we need to do, Bill, is we need to get Flores in touch with him, because we need a new rehab agreement, because otherwise we're gonna shut it down. So, okay. So I think what we want to do is have a quick status on this. I mean, you guys don't have to show up, but if you need to let Flores know, he needs to show up.
Okay. Right.
Okay, so if we could get a quick status on this, maybe before the end of the year, just to make sure we have a new rehab agreement in place and that we're keeping everybody on track here. Is there like a 28th?
28th.
28th?
28th?
28th? Or
Let's
you
go
want-
the first week in January.
Okay, hold on.
It's the 4th.
4th, right?
Yes,
January 4th?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, January 4th. Let Mr. Flores know he needs to be here.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming.
I recommend that we set this for status for January 4th, 2024.
And I concur.
Thank you.
Letter D, correspondence received from City Engineer Dean Button requesting the installation of stop signs at all 4 approaches to the intersection of Alexander and Martha.
So basically, Councilman Warpro brought this to our attention. There's no traffic control, and this is the intersection of Martha, Alexander, and actually Nickel Plate, which comes along the railroad tracks. So after we rebuilt Alexander Street and Councilman cleaned it up with the trees and brush, there's no traffic control, so everybody's going at the same time. So it's recommended by the city engineer, Dean.
So send this to Public Works to have
Yes.
put up? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll recommend that we send this to Public Works to have the stop signs installed.
And I concur. Okay. Number 11, gas station exception hearings. Letter A, 6318 Calumet Avenue. Good morning. The next matter before the board is a request for an exemption to Section F of Ordinance 9605 brought by petitioner Mia Mini Mart. The petitioner has requested that the fueling station located at 6318 Calumet Avenue be excluded from the requirement within the city of Hammond that fueling stations be closed from midnight to 5 a.m. I would first like to determine whether or not proper notice has been given to the neighboring property owners by the petitioner. The requirement is that the petitioner give notice of today's hearing to all properties located within 300 feet of the petitioner's property line. Linda, has that happened?
Yes.
Okay. Is anyone present besides the petitioner to speak for or against the station being open?
I'll just be translating for him.
Okay. As the petitioner, you have ability to now present the board your rationale as to why you believe your fueling station should be allowed the exemption. As you know, there are several factors in the ordinance that the board will consider and weigh in making their determination, and I will ask that you be aware of those factors and to present your argument and evidence today with those factors in mind. Do you have any evidence, not testimony, but do you have evidence such as documents or something that you would like to present the board?
As far as documents, ماشي معك دليل أوراق ولا أي شيء تروي لها إثبات أي حاجة تدافع عن ما في غير كلام. As far as evidence, we don't have any documents, but
Could I make sure we have everybody's name? Last time
Yes.
they were here, what was the date they were here last time, Linda?
9th.
The 9th or what?
October
Ninth.
9th, November the 9th, was it?
Yeah.
Or October?
I had, 2 weeks ago would have been the 16th, so it's... All right, so I believe it was the 9th. It was, all right, thanks.
Yes.
For Tom. So I had Isa Hammond, not here?
He's not here.
Okay, and then I had Badr Salah.
Yes.
Okay, and then I'm sorry, your name, sir?
It's Badr Ali. So it's the same first name.
Same first name and
then
Ali?
Ali is the last name,
Okay.
yes.
And are you the owner?
No, I'm just translating.
Translator?
Yeah,
Okay.
So you're taking Mr. Hamed's spot?
pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin,
Sorry.
we're going to swear them in, that's,
Yeah, I
okay.
just wanted to get the names.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so you don't have any evidence, so we'll move forward with the testimony,
We can
okay?
move forward, yeah.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you will give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, can go ahead and present your testimony.
Okay, well, he's already spoke to me earlier on what to say or what to tell you guys. As far as like, I think they told them that they have to close from 12 to 5.
Yes.
And he said that it's going to be affecting them, majorly, because he's going to have to be laying off a few workers. He might not be able to afford paying rent because he's a leasee. So he pays every month rent. And what else? Hello. As far as closing, they don't know whether to, how to do it or how to go about it.
Excuse me one more. You're having a problem hearing? Jake, is there anything you can do with the sound? We can't hear
We
it
still
for
can't hear that
recording-
mic.
For recording purposes.
Maybe the IT department
Yeah.
could opt down.
They're online, it looks like.
IT,
What about
can you
now?
assist us? That's much better.
I'll
If
just
you could
come-
just talk into
I'll
the
just
mic.
come closer.
Yes,
Okay.
okay.
Like I said, so it's going to be affecting him majorly, like financially. He might not be able to afford paying the workers or paying the rent, and he just doesn't know how to go about closing, or because when someone closes, like, will he need a security with him? Because it's not safe for one worker to close by himself, because it's usually one worker at a time at the property. So. وش هذا؟
مش لازم لان جبنا سكرتير يعني مكلف البزنس مش قوي يعني.
He's saying that even if he was to get a security, it can't afford it. The property, the business cannot afford paying for a security guard around the site. So if he can, at least get longer opening hours, that can help, him financially. Yeah, he's saying that after midnight, almost no station is opened on Calumet Avenue. He was the only one. Even before this law passed, that all the stations were closed on that street. He was the only one. So it was very helpful and beneficial for the community, where now he's closed and, it's hurting him.
How much traffic do you receive between those hours of midnight and 5 a.m.?
الحركة كم زبائن كم يعني.
different ولا مش هو يعني.
He said it varies, some days it can be really busy, like on weekends, I know, and some days it can slow down, but it varies.
Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Kevin? You ready, Kevin?
I
They don't
am.
have, they don't have anything else to add.
Okay, so it's my turn to
Yep.
examine them? Okay, so, Mr. Salah, what percentage of your business revenue is between midnight and 5 a.m.?
دخل بالنسبة من 12 إلى 5 كم؟ يعني 30% 40%.
I think 30.
He said around 30%.
30%?
Yeah.
So 70% of your business is from 5 a.m. all the way past noon, from noon all the way to midnight. So 19 hours, it's 70%, and then the 5 hours is 30%?
Correct.
Okay. Do you agree that there's not an interstate near your business?
الهايوي يعني قريب ولا بعيد؟
قريب.
Disagrees that.
Disagree?
Yeah.
Okay, where's the highway that's close to your business?
80.
On 80th?
80? Okay. And do you agree that you're at the 6300 block, right?
Correct.
And that's at the 7500 block? So over a mile?
Over, yeah.
Over a mile.
Yeah.
And outside of any financial
كل زبايننا هايوي.
argument, is there any other reason outside of financial that you want to remain open?
He just told me that the majority of his customers are highway customers, where they're in need of, getting gas and diesel and
معتمدين احنا على الهاي واي.
and they're
So,
depending a lot on these highway customers.
okay, so the majority of your customers are from the highway,
Correct.
and you're saying all day, for 24 hours, or just between midnight and 5?
For 24 hours, but yeah, there's also a lot of.
So they pass by like the 6 gas stations between the highway and your gas station?
Well, they're closed.
That's why I asked you, you said all day long. So is it all day long that you have a majority of highway customers, or just from midnight to 5?
طولة اليوم ولا بس بالليل؟
نو النهار.
النهار وبالليل.
الزباين
So
معتمدين.
all day long. So
All day
24
long?
hours.
Okay. And the ordinance has been in effect since November 1st. You've been closed since that time overnight?
Yes.
Yes.
And have you figured out how to close during that time? Because you said you didn't know how to close. Have you been able to
كيف
close?
بتسكروا؟ الإعلام يعني.
لم يقيس الرجال داخل.
They close everything, but they keep one person inside just guarding.
For safety?
Yeah.
And you're able to afford that, correct?
Well, barely, he said.
Barely. Have you done anything at your property since November 1st regarding signage or other issues that may be in violation of the city ordinance?
شي سويك حاجة من حل 1/11 ضد القانون؟ No.
No. All right, that's all the questions I have.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Glenn?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Sir, do you have anything additional to add?
Nothing?
Okay. Councilman, you would like to? Mr. Smith, is it appropriate for Councilman Tyler to speak at this time?
Sure.
Okay. Did you raise your right hand? Sorry. Do you swear the testimony or statements that you'll give the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and not so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Good morning. I just wanted to, I'm not here to give my opinion in terms of if they should stay open or not, just kind of share some more information. And I think that Attorney Smith kind of highlighted some of the questions or concerns that I've had as well. So I know originally when it comes to this ordinance, I had some additional questions and wanted some more time to review and discuss. But of course, as a council person within the city, it's my responsibility to enforce our ordinances as is. And so given that, I do believe, to Attorney Smith's point, excuse me, that there are some concerns in terms of signage still at that location. I pass by there on a regular basis. I'm not sure what communication, I'm guessing communication has been made with them, and there's no changes that have been made. I also think as the ordinance is written, in terms of how these decisions will be made, it doesn't seem like they necessarily qualify in terms of the location to the interstate, as well as, I'm not sure if the community has spoken out. I haven't heard any questions or concerns either way, but also know that to Attorney Smith's point, there's several other gas stations up and down Calumet before the interstate. There's also a CVS right down the street. Walgreens is open. So I think there's other alternatives there. I do want to voice my appreciation of the concerns expressed by the owner in terms of issues with revenue during that time. I'm not sure how much of their revenue. I think he said 30%. I don't necessarily see that much traffic there during those times. I'm not always out during those times either, but I know that gas station has been there for a very long time. And so just wanted to kind of share my thoughts there. And like I said, based off this ordinance and my understanding of it, as of right now, I don't know if they are a good candidate to stay open. Attorney Smith, I don't know what the protocol is in terms of how many times they can come before the Board of Works to appeal or to question if they can stay open, but yeah, just based off what I know now, they just don't seem like a likely candidate. And the last thing I'll share is I know Assistant Chief Long was going to pull some statistics in terms of crime calls for this location. I haven't seen any of that yet, so just wondering if we can take that into consideration too when you guys are making that determination.
That'll be presented later on in the hearing.
Got it. Thank you.
There being no further evidence, I would now let the city present their case regarding the exception. Mr. Smith, do you have any evidence or testimony you would like to present?
We do, Madam President. First, I'd like to present to the board I think may not have given this to Mr. Sala. I'll give it to him now. Oh, sorry, so this is Exhibit 1. This is a listing of the police calls over the last 5 years to this location. And to talk further about safety and matters and security, I'd like to call Lieutenant Chris Godey to the stand, please.
You raise your right hand, please. Do you swear the testimony will give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Lieutenant Godey, could you please state your name and indicate your position within the Hammond Police Department?
Yes, my name is Christopher Godey. I'm the FUSIS Administrator for the Hammond Police Department.
Okay, Lieutenant Godey, are you familiar with the location of 6318 Calumet Avenue?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and are you familiar with the setup as far as security goes at that location?
Yes.
Okay, could you please describe that to the board?
Sure. The station has bulletproof glass, and it does have a residential camera system that is half working.
All right, so you've been, I think we probably had about 15 to 16, I don't know, somewhere around 15 of these hearings, correct?
Yes.
And you've been, if I'm not mistaken, you've testified on every one of these?
Yes.
Okay, so if you had to rank the camera systems of the 15 or 16 systems that you've seen as it relates to folks that have come before this board for exceptions, where does this one rank?
It's probably not dead last, but it's pretty close.
Okay, close to dead last as far as the camera system.
So you have to get on a ladder to access it. It's very old. It's one of the systems where they took the old camera and they put the new camera right next to it, and some cameras work, some cameras don't. We made an appointment with them to connect to the FUSIS program, and when we showed up, they were not there to accept the connection.
All right, so they are not hooked up to FUSIS?
They're not.
Okay, do you know if they've ordered it?
They have not.
They have not ordered FUSIS? Okay.
No, sir.
What about as far as lighting goes?
They do have adequate lighting in the parking lot.
And what about inside? Have you been inside the store?
I have been inside the store.
Okay.
It's a very small store, but it's older, but it's what you would expect in any gas station.
Yeah, kind of like those old Clark stations we used to have around town.
Yes.
It probably wasn't Clark at one point.
It was.
Probably, yeah. Okay, so overall, Lieutenant Godey, do you believe that from a safety standpoint, that it's your recommendation that this location be allowed to stay open overnight?
With them not being on FUSIS, the fire hazard, the electrical conditions that the city found, there was a shooting inside the gas station, and...
So there have been violent incidents there?
Yes. I don't... And also, they are open. The inside of the store is closed, but this is one of the stations that we conducted a compliance check on after the ordinance went into effect, and you can go to that station and get gas after they were ordered to be closed.
So they've been in violation of the ordinance already?
Yes.
When you went to check?
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any further questions from Lieutenant Godey.
Would you like to ask any questions of Lieutenant Godey? If you would, please come up. You said no? Okay. All right. Donnie, you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Next witness for the city, I'd like to call Tom Novak, Assistant City Planner.
Do you swear that the testimony you will give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, I'd like to present to the board what I've marked as Exhibit 2. Mr. Novak, could you please state your name and introduce yourself to the board?
Yeah, my name is Thomas Novak. I am the Assistant City Planner in the City Planning Department.
And did you have occasion to prepare what I marked as Exhibit 2?
Yeah, prior to the earlier hearing, I had prepared a report, yes.
It's dated November 9th?
Yes.
And did you also take photos of the property when you were there in November 7th, 8th, 9th?
Yes, on November 7th I did.
Okay, and did they truly and accurately represent the condition of the property at that time?
Yes, they do.
To your knowledge, has anything changed since that time?
When I've driven by casually, I have not noticed anything substantially different, no.
And just kind of like looking at a couple of photos, from a safety perspective, does this indicate a safety, does this photo indicate a safety concern for you?
Yes, we do have a rule that windows should not be covered more than 25%, including, doors with glass panes and,
Why is that?
so that emergency crews can see in case they're called out, and also so that employees can see out in case there's any kind of trouble going on in the lot.
And are these windows covered more than 25%?
I would say yes.
And does that present a security concern for you?
Yes.
All right, what else? I noticed that your report indicates several other items that you believe may significantly impair the property from a security standpoint and also just from a zoning standpoint. Could you summarize those briefly?
Yeah, so, we're always concerned about graffiti because of its gang connotations, and we did observe some graffiti on pumps and the roof fascia. As far as legible address numbers, there was, the ones in the back and front were worn away, not really legible. And there were numerous electrical concerns, wiring. And some of the wires may be dead, but some may very well be alive, protruding from light poles. Especially there's one light pole along Calumet Avenue, and this is near an elementary school that has an open face plate with some wiring hanging out, and I believe that's an active light pole.
And your findings summarized within your report?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions of Mr. Novak unless you've got anything else.
I'd also note signage violations as far as, in 2020, they pulled a permit to replace some of the signage, but at that time, they installed even more signage on the big pole sign, freestanding sign. It could offer an issue for people trying to turn out there. It's a bit of a visibility concern, as well as I think they may be exceeding the maximum amount of signage allowed, so we have to look into that as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Novak.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Novak? No? Okay.
I presented the board, I'd like to present to the board also Exhibit 3 and Exhibit 3A, which are reports from the City Controller's Office and from inspections. I'll make sure to give Mr. Salah a copy of these. And a copy to the board. As you can tell from the report, Mr. Farrell has indicated that Myanmar Inc. /Sitco is owned by Yusuf Mutana from Bridgeview, is the name of the business. The owner is Katra Petro Inc. Mr. Katra from Munster. Is that the owner? Is that the owner, Mr. Katra? Is that who owns the property? Who you lease from, right? Okay. So it appears that they do have a business license from 05 to 22. The last license expired in June 30th. However, and they show that fees are owed for 2023 and 2024. Previous business licenses were issued to Myanmar, which, as far as Mr. Farrell can tell, is not an entity registered with the Secretary of State. So that provides an additional concern that we don't have a property, we don't have a business that's properly registered with the Secretary of State in Indiana on this property. So if the board considers granting the exception, that would have to be rectified immediately. And that's all the witnesses and evidence I have for the board.
Okay. Donnie, you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If the city has no further evidence, the petitioner now has an opportunity to present any testimony or evidence in reply. You said you didn't have anything, right? Okay. So, If not, then I'll give both parties a chance to make a closing argument to the board as to why the board should or should not grant an exception. And we'd like to keep these in 5 minutes, under 5 minutes, please. Do you have anything additional in closing that you'd like to say to further ask the board to consider for an exception? If you'd like to say something, please come up.
He's asking for just another request if he's not able to open 24 hours, if you can just extend the hours, maybe close at 1, open at 4, something within that. That's all.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just to be clear,
just a
you're
request.
asking for an alternate window. So instead of closing at midnight, you're requesting to close at 1
A little later,
and
yeah.
possibly open at 4 for consideration.
Correct.
Okay.
That's all.
That's all?
That's
Okay. Attorney Smith?
Yes. So in summary, as you know, I like to go over the factors that are in the ordinance that the council passed and that was signed by the mayor. First is incidents of criminal acts and police calls over the last 5 years with emphasis on the last 24 months. As I presented to the board in Exhibit 1, there was a shooting at this property, and there have been multiple police calls at the property overnight. So I would take that into consideration because, one of the factors, if not the biggest factor of the ordinance is, community safety, and whether or not this becomes a place where criminal activity can occur. 2 is whether the fueling station is part of FUSIS. I would point out that almost every, if not every, station that's been before you has willingly and made sure that they come before the board and said, we're on FUSIS, we're going to be a part of that team, and it's unfortunate that this property so far is not on FUSIS. I think that's a huge factor because that goes directly to security, especially to police response, and ability for them to tap into those cameras immediately if there is a problem there. So even if they argue, we don't really have any security issues, if a security issue does occur and they're on FUSIS, I think that always is helpful to know, right? To say, okay, the police can tap in even from the patrol car or back at the station so they can see what's going on. It also protects our police officers as well and gets them in a better preparedness standpoint when they do respond to see what's going on there. Adequate security presence overnight. Again, it goes to the cameras. Lieutenant Godey testified that if not the worst, it's close to the worst camera system that you've seen. It sounds like they've got kind of like a old system that they've tried to modernize, but some of the cameras don't work. The fact that you have to get up on a ladder, I think, is also a concern. I haven't heard that from any other station besides this one. Whether it's in a residential area versus a commercial or industrial area, even though Calumet Avenue is commercial, there are residences directly behind this station, and it'll also indicate or point out that Lew Wallace Elementary School is right across the street on Kenwood. So that is also, I think, should weigh into this decision. Not that, of course, an elementary school is open overnight, but it's about the kind of the area that we're talking about here. Whether it be considered to be easily accessible by interstate travelers, I was kind of confused as to how Mr. Salat could make the argument that this is close to the interstate. I mean, we all know where it is. It's right down the block here. I don't consider City Hall close to the interstate. It's not easily accessible by interstate travelers. I just find it a little bit hard to believe that a majority, I think is what he testified, a majority of their customers are from the interstate. He said that as far as it goes, that means all 24 hours. And I just find that hard to believe. When I travel and I have to get off at an exit to get gas, I don't really go a mile into a city I don't know. I don't care if it's the nicest city in the country or the worst city in the country. I try to go to the station that's right off the highway because I want to get back on the highway and keep going. So I think that should factor in. In that sense, I don't think that factor weighs in favor of this station. It is not easily accessible by interstate travelers. Other city ordinance violations. The one thing I would say is that not only has nothing been done regarding these signs and that there are safety issues, I gave to Mr. Salat the last hearing on the 9th a copy of Mr. Novak's report and said to him, that here's what we're going to present. If you want to call Mr. Novak, if you want to take appropriate steps, do so. And, it's disheartening to hear Mr. Novak indicate that he doesn't believe anything's been changed since even November 9th. I think Lieutenant Godey did mention that there's adequate lighting for nighttime operations. And whether it's property license with the city, it sounds like they're a year at least behind, so they have to re-register. And also that issue with the Secretary of State, I think, weighs just in what I would say is just kind of like a responsible and on top of things type of business, right? We want our businesses to be registered with the Secretary of State. They should be. We want them to be registered with the city. They should be. We want them to follow the zoning ordinance. We want them to follow the ordinance, the simple ordinances, even like make sure your address is clear on the front and back, because as you know, when the police are coming late at night or the fire department's coming, they need to see the address. Just simple things like that, and I'm afraid that this station, and I get it, it sounds like they're tough on, it's tight, it's a tight situation on money. I understand that, but not every business succeeds. Some businesses fail. They're in a lease arrangement. I'm disappointed the owner didn't show up to support them. He wasn't here either time, the 9th or this time. I mentioned that to them. I said, it might be a good idea to have the owner come down. Either he's too busy, couldn't make it, didn't want to give a statement, nothing in writing, nothing. So unfortunately, it's the city's position that I believe that this station doesn't meet the requirements of the ordinance, and I believe it would be my request that the petition be denied. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you for your presentations today. The board will now take this matter under advisement. The board will notify the petitioner in writing of its ruling by regular, certified, and electronic mail within 10 days of this hearing. If an exception is granted, it shall be valid for 1 year from the date of the determination and is subject to revocation if any circumstances change. Additionally, you must reapply for an exemption annually if it is granted. Okay. We'll move on to the next matter. 7306 Indianapolis Boulevard. Good morning. The next matter before the board is a request for an exemption to Section F of Ordinance 9605 by the petitioner, Sixers Gas Station. The petitioner has requested that the fueling station located at 7306 Indianapolis Boulevard be excluded from the requirement within the city of Hammond that fueling stations be closed from midnight to 5 a.m. I will first like to determine whether or not proper notice has been given to neighboring property owners by the petitioner. The requirement is that the petitioner give notice of today's hearing to all properties located within 300 feet of the petitioner's property line. Has that happened?
No.
Okay. Have you provided notice? You were required to notify everybody within 300 feet?
Yes.
You get the list. They give you the list, right? Yeah.
List.
Yeah, 43?
On 43, you can come.
Okay. That's a lot to count. I'll let Linda. So I guess what I would say, it appears that they are stamped by the post office November 16th.
So we're okay to proceed, then, Attorney Smith? After Linda verifies?
If Linda finds some discrepancy, I would request that she let us know.
Okay. Is there anyone present besides the petitioner to speak for or against the petitioner's request for an exception? Could you please, parties, can you stand? Both parties, could you please raise your hands? Repeat after me. I'm just asking the question. Do you swear that the testimony you will give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, when it's time for you all to speak, we'll call you up, okay? Okay, as the petitioner, you have the ability to now present the board with your rationale as to why you believe your fueling station should be allowed the exemption. As you know, there are several factors in the ordinance that the board will consider and weigh in making their determination, and I would ask you be aware of those factors and to present your argument and evidence today with those factors in mind. Do you have any evidence, not testimony, that you would like to give the board before we get into testimony? So do you have any documents or pictures or anything that you'd like to present to the board?
Not right now.
Okay, so we'll get in. Do you have testimony or witnesses you'd like to call at this time? Anybody that will speak on your behalf, or just be the two of you? Okay, could you give us both your names, please, before we get started?
Satwinder Singh.
One more time, please.
Satwinder Singh.
Okay. Can you spell that?
Satwinder, last name Singh, Singh.
Okay. Your name, sir?
Manpal, Manpalsingh.
Okay. And Mr. Singh, what is your position with the gas station?
We are the partner. I'm the partner.
Both of you are the partners? Okay.
Madam Chair, could I have Mr., was your last name Singh as well, sir?
Yes.
Manpal Singh?
Manpal.
Got it, thank you.
You good? Okay, can you both raise your right hands? Do you swear the testimony you will give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay. So if you don't have any witnesses, right? Okay, you can go ahead with your testimony.
Yeah, like we used to open like 24 hours, and we have a lot of nighttime traffic right off the highway intersection. And this is the north side, the station with the public washroom. There's two other stations that they have no restrooms. So if you go to Gas Buddy, you can read a lot of reviews from the highways. People come to this station.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to speak into the mic, please, sir.
Okay, this is like we used to open 24 hours, and we have a lot of nighttime traffic from the highway. And we lost like almost 32 to 35% of business. And this is the station with the 24-hour restroom from the people who come from on the highway, because I think there's other stations, they have no public restrooms. And if you go on Gas Buddy, you can read our reviews. A lot of people like to come here nighttime. And right now we have an employee, he's just sitting there, we pay him. It's hard for us to,
Okay, so from my understanding, you're losing 35% of your revenue? Is that what you said?
32 to 35%, yeah.
And then your gas station, to your knowledge, is the only one with 24-hour restrooms. That's your testimony. Do you have anything additional to add?
No, you want to say anything?
Nothing else?
Yeah, we have good lighting system. If you guys see nighttime, and it's all upgraded. And it's upgraded fuel pumps. People can tap, pay with the phone app, all the technology people use in these days on the pumps.
Okay.
Yes, security cameras, good system too.
Okay. You have security cast them, and you updated your pumps. That's what everybody understood, everything that was said.
Did they say cameras? They updated
Yes.
Cameras?
Yes.
When?
When did you update your cameras?
Update with the city.
Oh, yeah, city already have access.
City already put in access.
So you're saying the city put in fuses already?
Yeah, in the box.
Okay.
Almost maybe a month ago.
I can't hear you, sir.
I think so, a month ago, like.
1 month ago, they already,
They
1 month
put in a
ago.
box,
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add? Okay. At this time, Attorney Smith has the opportunity to cross-examine.
So, Mr. Singh, the name of the company we have is Rara Sahib Inc. Is that the company
Yes.
that you are a partner of?
Yes, sir.
Both of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so are there any other partners or just the two of you?
Just two.
just do only.
Okay, and how long have you owned this property?
2009.
2009.
Since
2009, so it's
2009.
about 15 years?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and during that, do you own any other gas stations?
Yeah, we do.
Where are they located? You can testify to the board.
One in a Highland.
Highland, where is that located?
8317 Kennedy Avenue in Highland.
8317 Kennedy?
Kennedy in
Okay.
Highland, yes.
Is that also a Sixers, or what's the name of that?
Yeah, we call Sixers, and what is a Citgo though, branded.
Yes,
So
like
branded, okay.
2 months ago.
And then any other gas station?
One
Yeah.
in the St. John.
St. John?
St. John.
Okay, and where's that located?
9285 Bicker Avenue in St. John.
Okay, so basically 93rd and US 41.
You right, sir.
Are those properties open overnight?
Highland does.
Highland is 24 hours?
Yeah.
Yes.
As far as the bathrooms are concerned, so you said that you allow 24-hour bathroom access?
Yeah, when it was open, so people use the restroom anytime there.
Okay, and what about the car wash? Is that open 24 hours?
Yeah, it's 24-hour, yes.
Is there any reason, because I know the car washes can be pretty noisy.
Yeah,
Is there any
I
reason to
understand.
have?
Like 3 months ago, I received a call from the city, somebody complained. I talked to Mr. Ron, we used to leave the doors open, so I started like closing the door after each car, so when the car is washing, no noise come out.
If we allowed, if the recommendation of the board was to allow you to stay open, you know, because you are near a neighborhood, you understand? I mean, I get that it's commercial on Indianapolis Boulevard, but there's a neighborhood right behind you. If there was an issue with the car wash, would you agree to keep the car wash closed overnight?
Yeah, we could do that. And I'm already in the process to remodeling. The car wash is going to be going pretty soon. Mr. Tom already knows that.
Oh, like totally gone?
Yes.
You're going to get rid of it. What are you going to do in
We're extending the store, making bigger.
Build a new building.
you're going, just make sure that the board hears.
Yeah,
You're going to increase the size of the store?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
The convenience store?
yes,
Is there bulletproof glass inside the store?
yes, sir.
There is. And what about mag locks? Do you have mag locks or like remote locks for the door?
No.
How many?
Oh, yeah, we have a switch in the back. If anything happens, they could lock
That's
the-
what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
You have those?
Yeah, we do have that.
How many employees work overnight?
We have until 10 o'clock too. After 10, we stay on.
Until when?
In 5 in the morning.
So 10 to 5, there's only one person there?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. Councilman Warple, and I believe there's a resident. You can just have a seat and then something to come back.
Can I approach?
Yes. Okay. Ma'am, if you can let Councilman Warple speak unless you all are speaking together, and then you'll have your opportunity to come up and speak.
So, I can only speak to what's been going on since I've been a council person. And I've tried several times to contact the owners. In fact, the last time I was in there and asked who the owner was, it wasn't one of them two, but somebody behind the counter said he was. I've complained several times about the signage in the windows, the signage on the fences. The residents in the neighborhood, which Leslie will speak here in a minute, have strongly begged me to stop that car wash from buzzing. I made it known to whoever was in the store that told me was an owner, and it's fallen on deaf ears. I mean, I've asked about the signage there. It's fallen on deaf ears. I've asked to use the bathroom there and was told there was no bathroom. I'm glad that they're here and that they say they're willing to comply, but in the 7 years I've been on the council, not one thing I've requested has been responded to. And Leslie here, who is part of the neighborhood, I can tell you that I received a lot of phone calls of other residents that can't make it here today, but there has been no cooperation with the neighborhood whatsoever by this gas station owner. Now, I don't know if that plays into the ordinance, you know, word for word, but I'm not trying to shut a business down or keep people from making money, but I have no evidence that they're willing to comply on anything. That's all I got to say. And Leslie or Ms. Beach, would you like to speak?
Okay. Attorney Smith, do you need her entire name for the record?
I do.
Okay. Ma'am, could you,
Leslie?
ma'am, can you speak into the mic? And
Leslie Gillum, Gillham.
Can you tell me what street you live on? Or your
Magoo.
address? Magoo. Near the station?
Right behind it.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Gillum.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm just going to give you a little bit of my summer.
And is that the sound from the gas, the
This
car
is the
wash?
car wash, and this was all summer long, all day, and all night. And this goes on for 5 minutes. There's not even a car in the car
I was
wash.
just gonna ask that. Okay.
So you see my point. This wakes me up at night. It wakes me up in the morning. I have fans running and it still wakes me up. Windows closed, I could still hear it. I've asked many times for them to do something about this buzzer. I've contacted council people. I have complained numerous times and they blow me off. So there's nothing done about it. So this is 24 hours a day. As far as a public restroom, I can tell you the public restroom is in the alley behind my house. There's no fence that keeps people from walking from the gas station to the alley, and they relieve themselves behind my house. So I don't know, I don't get where they say there's a 24-hour public restroom, because it's not. It's out in the alley. So I get no cooperation from them at all. So all I can do is take videos and send them to Dave Warple, my city councilman. So I appreciate you letting me speak, but I think it's a safety issue that people are allowed in the alley at night. They shouldn't have access, and I shouldn't have to live with that buzzer constantly going off. I can't enjoy my backyard anymore. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
I had a couple questions for Ms. Gillum.
Go ahead.
Ms. Gillum, how long have you lived at that residence?
30 years.
Okay, so the 90s, I guess, is fair enough, right? If the board allows them to stay open overnight, would it be your request that the car wash be closed either all the
I'd like
way
to see
or-
that car wash gone. It's been nothing but a pain ever since they put it in. When it breaks down, they work on it in the middle of the night.
And you mentioned about the folks using the alley as the restroom.
Yeah, I've brought pictures of how their fencing does not go completely across the back.
Yeah, that's what I was
So-
trying to understand.
Yeah,
Do you have
and-
photos that you could send to the board? Oh,
They're right there.
Okay. All right, and just looking at it, when you're, I'm going to mark this, if I could, Madam President, I'm going to mark this as Exhibit A. I think it's is it the same one?
It is, I just had to lighten it up so you can
Okay,
see
so
it
this is
better.
the color one, I guess, this one is Exhibit A?
Yeah, we have this color.
Got it, okay. Yeah, so could you explain to the board, just show them what you're talking about with fencing?
My house is on the other side of this alley. So this is the fencing that stops. You can see the gas station
Is
here.
it like a guardrail, kind of?
And it's just a guardrail, and their dumpster is right here. So people can just walk right through that guardrail, and they relieve themselves right here.
Okay.
All the time. And I can't walk out in my backyard at night because I'm scared.
So Ms. Gillum, if, again, I guess the question I'd have is, do you believe that if proper fencing was put there, that would significantly decrease that issue?
Absolutely.
And would you request that of the board if they are going to allow them to stay?
Absolutely.
All right. That's all the questions I have, Ms. Gillum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There being no further evidence, I will now let the city present their case regarding the exception. Mr. Smith, do you have any evidence or testimony you'd like to present?
We do. I'd like to call Lieutenant Godey, please. And ask him to, again, just introduce himself for the record.
Good morning. My name is Chris Godey. I'm the FUSIS Administrator for the Hammond Police Department.
I'd like to present the board Exhibit 1. Lieutenant Godey, are you familiar with the property located at 7306 Indianapolis Boulevard?
Yes.
All right, and could you give the board a summary as it relates to the security and safety at that location?
Yes. They do have good lighting, as the business owners testified to. They do have the upgraded lighting and the pumps. I just want to clarify, I think he was saying that he has an upgraded camera system. That is not true. It is an old system, but they are integrated with FUSIS even though it is old. So we do have access. Some of the images are pretty low resolution or at an extreme angle. So, but I think if they are rebuilding the building, I think that our concerns would be a moot point. We would just ask that when they build that new building that they hopefully consult with us so we can get better images to identify the customers if there was a problem, or to check on the safety of the clerk if they are there overnight, because they don't have anything that can see the clerk, and it's almost impossible to identify anybody who comes in the store.
So would it be your recommendation that if the board were to grant the exception that they would have to upgrade their security, their camera system?
Either,
Or the angles?
either that or when they build the new building to make an upgrade, yes.
And as far as violent incidents, you've seen the report. Are you familiar with any violent incidents at this location?
No.
Are the owners, do you know the owners? Have you met with them?
I have not. Sergeant Matanovich has met with them and did the installation of the fuses core.
Did you report any issues when you met with them?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions of Lieutenant Cody. Unless the owners request his presence, I would request that he be allowed to be released from the hearing.
Okay, do you have any further questions for Lieutenant Goldie?
No.
No? Okay. Okay. You got anything?
Nope.
Okay.
I'd like to next call Tom Novak and present the board Exhibit 2 and 3, which include both Mr. Novak's report and Mr. Carroll's report. Novak, please reintroduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Thomas Novak. I'm the Assistant City Planner here in City Hall.
Mr. Novak, did you have occasion to visit Sixers on or around November 27th of 2023?
Yeah, so Nick Farrell did take these photos early in the evening, but I have visited the site in recent times.
Okay, and just again, in summary, could you address the safety concerns that you saw at that property?
Yeah, so, you know, obviously, we've mentioned the other things with the other witnesses. You know, while I will note that they are currently in talks with the City Planning Department, they've submitted preliminary plans for a rebuild where they'll remove the car wash and rebuild the store, which may, you know, fix a lot of these issues. There are certain issues that we want to see taken care of, you know, before, because this may not be done until spring, summer, fall next year. That includes the signage in the windows. Some of the windows are covered 100%. Pretty much all the windows are covered more than 25%. So signage needs to come out of there. You know, there should be ADA parking and ADA path into the store. It's a little bit not at grade. Obviously, the fence in the alley, as they spoke, you know, when that's replaced, we'd like to see a sound dampening material of some kind. You know, like a solid wood, you know, not just a flimsy fence, but that needs to be replaced to secure the alley.
Which fence?
The alley line fence, which is at the southwest corner of the property by the dumpster enclosure. We'd also like to see the gate for the dumpster enclosure kept closed when not in use, but as far as safety things, you know, the legible address, it's very small. Now, they have an address in the alley, but the one over the door is very small, very hard to read. Probably make it bigger. And then I will note the ice boxes outside. There's 2 of them. They're plugged into non-GFCI outlets that have been painted over, which is a fire hazard. Then there's a little electrical wiring at the corner by one of the cameras that should be run in proper conduit, stuff like that. And of course, the noise violation, which we all heard. But those, I think those are the main takeaway points for me.
I don't have any further questions.
Okay. Sir, do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The only thing I would add from is as far as Exhibit 3 is concerned, as it relates to the business licensing, I'd note that and this seems to be occurring with several of the stations, so I'm not just picking on Sixers, but they need to register their assumed business name with the state of Indiana. It's not registered as far as we can tell with the state, and they also have to record that assumed business name certificate with the county. So that's a very common problem. So again, I'm not trying to pick on just them, but I would request that that be corrected as well. That's all the evidence I have for the board. Thank you.
Okay. Donnie, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. If the city has no further evidence, the petitioner now has the opportunity to present any testimony or evidence in reply. And you said you didn't have anything for anybody?
No.
Okay. You can come back up to the mic, please.
The car wash been there since 2013. It's 10 years now. And this is only summer we receive the violation like for the noise. And it's not written like somebody called me from city and already taken care of that. It's already done. It was a buzzer, but like somebody hit the car wash nighttime. It just emergency switch came on. It's ping, 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 always doing that. But it's already been fixed. And we are willing to close nighttime. Like if you guys give us time, this time you have to car wash shut down, we could shut down that.
So you're willing to close the car wash overnight, period?
Yes, it's gonna be gone in pretty soon, like Mr. Tom already know, we're working on that. But meantime, if you guys give us a permission to open 24-hour, we want to shut down the car wash, you can give us a time, we could just close the car wash at that time.
Okay. You have anything,
Yeah, I have a
Pepper?
question for Mr. Singh, and I appreciate that. You've heard the neighbors' concerns about the fencing. Would you be willing to, and Mr. Tom Novak's discussion about increasing the type of sound dampening fencing? If you're allowed to stay open, would you be willing to correct that as well?
Yeah, we can put the fence there. No
Okay,
problem.
and also, did you hear Lieutenant Godey's testimony regarding the camera system needs upgrading? Would you be willing to do that?
Yes, there's some like old one, like we told, some are like already IP, we added to it. But when we doing, we ready to do almost like new system, everything gonna be new. And we could fix anything if you need right now, any cameras need to, any angle, anything.
You understand the issue with the signage on the windows, right?
Yes, I know that.
That
Yeah.
seems like it's pretty simple to fix.
Yes, yes.
Is that something that you'd be doing regardless of whether you're going to be open or closed, right? You're going to do fix the signs?
We could do that.
All right, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Are you good, Donnie? Okay. Okay, so now's the time that both parties can have a chance to make closing arguments to the board as to why they should or should not be granted an exception. We should keep these under 5 minutes. Mr., do you have anything additional that you'd like to add? Okay, Attorney Smith.
Yes, and I think briefly, I can just real quick go through the factors, just for the record. Lieutenant Godey in Exhibit 1 testified that as far as criminal acts, there have been some police calls, but we have not seen any incidents of any violent acts at this location. It is part of the FUSA system, which is again, that's a positive, and appreciate the fact. I would say that I think the camera system should be upgraded. It's very important that the police department see clear images on these cameras. I think it's also good for their employees and for the safety of their employees as well as the public, that if there is an incident there, that we want to be able to solve it quickly. And the only way to do that is have good images and good angles. So I'd request that they consult with the police department if they are allowed, or just in general, they need to do that, but especially if they're allowed to stay open overnight. As far as an adequate security presence overnight, it sounds like they have bulletproof glass. They have the mag locks, which are important. They only have one person working, which I think we've learned from other stations that having more than one person sometimes is advantageous, but that's their business decision. I would mention that it is in a commercial area, but there are residences, as you heard Ms. Gillum testify. She's right behind them, so it's kind of like a mixed area, and we always have to be, I think, cognizant of that there are residences near the gas station. I would consider it to be easily accessible by interstate travelers. It's only about 2 blocks, block and a half off. The concerning thing, I think, is that the other ordinance violations, which are the signage, that's just a no-go from my perspective. That has to be corrected. The other things that Mr. Novak have pointed out, I think the car wash really, if it occurred at a time where either the police were there or an inspector was there, they'd be issued a noise violation citation. I was annoyed within 5 seconds of that audio recording. And so I think that and I appreciate the owners indicating that they're willing to work with the city and the neighbors in this regard. So one benefit of these hearings has been getting compliance on other issues, and I think the car wash, I'm glad to hear that it's going permanently, but I would think that we probably want to either limit the hours of the car wash or just request that it be shut down. I'll leave that to the board's decision. As far as other security on the property, I would indicate that the fencing, I think, is a security issue, given what Ms. Gillum indicated. We all know that alleys are bad places overnight, or I shouldn't say that. Alleys can be bad places overnight, depending on who's there and what they're up to. I don't think there's any reason to stress the security of that alley by allowing people in the alley near residences. So I would request that the fencing be corrected if the board sees fit. It sounds like they do have adequate lighting. And again, the licensing issue I pointed out, which isn't uncommon, but they need to fix that with the state of Indiana. So as far as I'm concerned, I leave it to the board's discretion on this station. I think there's factors that are way in favor of them being able to stay open overnight. I think there are factors that, if they remain unfixed, weigh in favor of closing them overnight. So I would encourage the board in their findings in order to mandate that those matters that could impact security be remedied as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentations today. The board will now take this matter under advisement. The board will notify the petitioner in writing of its ruling by regular, certified, and electronic mail within 10 days of this hearing. If an exception is granted, it shall be valid for 1 year from the date of determination and is subject to revocation if any circumstances change. Additionally, you must reapply for the exemption annually if it is granted. Okay. Councilman Warple.
I know you all heard her recording, and I heard him make a comment that, well, we'll close the car wash at night. When you're getting this sent to you, and I don't blame her because that's what my job is to listen to the residents. I know she had, it was either Memorial Day or July 4th party scheduled one day, and at 10 o'clock in the morning, this is going off, and I mean, she can't even enjoy her backyard, and I don't want that to go unnoticed.
Right.
And the fact that I've tried to resolve this without coming through this, and I can't even get a straight answer out of them. Not these guys, I'm not blaming these guys, but whoever was there at the time told me he was the owner.
Okay.
And they've been made aware of this issue. And again, I wouldn't oppose it if they're in compliance, but I feel like there needs to be some responsibility on the owner's part to be good neighbors. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to number 12. The meeting is now open to the public. Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak?
Mr. Luke.
Yes, I'm going to turn it over to the owner and their contractor, Mr. Serrano, in regards to a property that they purchased that's on the demo list.
What
Kind of
address is
explain this situation.
What's the address?
1434 Sherman. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Can you state your name, please, sir?
Yes, my name is Manuel Serrano. I'm with Serrano's Remodeling, general contractor licensed here in Hammond.
Okay.
And, well, we're trying to get their house rebuilt. There's some issues that need to be, code violations that need to be corrected. And I'd like to see if we can get the permits. We'll move forward with this project.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was just talking with Mr. Luter, Mr. Kearney. What I believe's occurred, and Mr. Serrano, you are not the owner, correct?
No.
Who are the owners?
The owners, they're Urbal.
Yes, how do you spell that?
Dale su nombre completo.
What?
U?
B.
Z?
B.
Sorry, B.
A.
L. D. O.
Ubaldo?
Yes.
And what's the last name?
Bernal. B-E-R-N-A-L.
Okay, and Ubaldo is, I'm sorry, who's Ubaldo? Hi, sir. So they own the property?
Yes,
Mr. Serrano?
they just bought the property. ¿Qué fue? ¿Hace como un mes? About a month ago, they bought the property.
My understanding is they bought it was a tax sale property. And
it's in the...
Hold on, hold on a minute.
I'm going to ask everybody else that's talking, could you limit the conversation so we can hear?
Thank you. So my understanding is that the Bernals bought it off tax sale. They are not very conversant in English, and so they signed a document in English that they may not have fully understood, which indicated that the previous owner who sold them the property, as they're supposed to do, indicated it was on the demo list. Okay, so they bought a property that's on the demo list. They're trying to get it fixed up so they can move in there, right, Mr.
Yes,
Serrano?
that's correct.
Okay, and the problem is that in order to get permits, they need to pay the bond.
Or $10,000 cash.
$10,000 bond.
Okay.
And I assume that the Bernals do not have the $10,000 to pay the bond?
Either that or they fix the house.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
They got one of them.
Yeah.
It's a rare occasion that we waive the bond. I mean, I kind of have to defer to Mr. Kearney and Mr. Luter because they're more familiar with the situation. And of course, the reason of the bond is to make sure that the repairs happen. Generally, that's more of a concern of somebody who's going to fix it up and like rent it out, or we don't know if they're gonna stay there, we don't know if they're even gonna fix it up. Because it is a good, like, kind of hammer over your head to make them do the work, right? Because they want to get their money back once they fix it up. So I guess maybe Mr. Serrano could indicate what the plans are for the house, and then maybe Mr. Kearney or Mr. Luter could also weigh in on this. So Mr. Serrano,
Yes.
are the plans that they are going to live there when you're done?
Their family. They own a property in
Go ahead.
Hammond. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, they own another property in Hammond. I'm not familiar with the address, but their large family and family members are going to move over there. They're grown kids, adult kids.
So once the property is completed over here, if that works out, their family is going to move to that
Yes.
building? Okay.
Where do they live?
¿Dónde viven tus hijos ahorita? ¿Con ustedes? Sí. They all live they live in one house.
Where?
La dirección. ¿Cuál es la dirección viven ahorita?
5806.
¿Sin qué?
5806 de la Iris.
5860 qué?
5806.
5806 Erie.
Erie.
So right here.
Right here.
Yes.
Right here.
Okay.
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 So I don't know, Kelly, if you want
Kearney?
Morning, Board.
Morning.
I have confidence in Mr. Serrano in his ability to rehab this house. It is our understanding it will be owner occupied or immediate family. So it won't necessarily be a rental property,
No.
correct?
No.
It is, Attorney Smith said, it is a rare occasion that we waive a bond. I believe if we can put this under a rehab agreement and continue with the demolition order while work is going on, have status dates so that we can make sure work is being performed, I think we would be safe in waiving the bond as long as the demolition order is still in play.
Has there been I guess my question to Mr. Luter would be, has there been an inspection?
There has not. We're waiting for the attorney to determine.
Okay, so if we're going to waive the bond, then I would request the inspection fee still be paid. I think it's $150 to allow Mr. Luter to perform the inspection, and then he and Mr. Serrano, along with the Bernals, could work on a rehab agreement to place before the board. Mr. Luter, how long do you think you'll need for the inspection?
As soon as they can get it paid, we should be able to get it early in December.
Okay, so if we set this for that January 4th date, and hopefully have a rehab agreement in place by then, does that work with your timeline?
Yes.
Okay, so the idea would be to have a inspection done by then, a rehab agreement ready to be signed, and then we'll all come back on January 4th, and hopefully then we can get the permits at that point.
Okay.
Okay. And there'll be no problem getting the inspection fee paid?
No.
Okay.
No, it's the house.
150 will be paid.
Yeah, the house, Mr. Luter's requested to be clear. It was a lot of, it was just, and we cleared, everything was clear inside. It's walkable.
Ready to go?
Yes.
But will they have any problem paying the $150 for the inspection?
No, we can pay that today.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're just going to move this for status for January 4th with the understanding of all that other stuff being done in the meantime.
I think we need the board to
Affirm
actually
the
take
order?
affirmative action regarding
Waive.
the waiver of the bond.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I recommend that we waive the bond on the property located at 1434 Sherman and set it for status on January 4th, 2024.
Thank you.
Okay, I concur.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
January 4th.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Okay,
I make a motion, recommend that we adjourn.
and I concur.